I think if you're not in the right frame of mind as far as competing, then you're going to struggle the whole time you're doing it. So I believe that the way you can go into competing and have fun doing it is when you don't have expectations, but also have pride in what your progress is.
Yeah, you can't compete to compete. You have to compete because you love the process leading up to it. That stage is 10 seconds. It's so fast. And if you bank everything in that, and that's what you think is gonna satisfy you, and you dread the process leading up to it, or half-ass the process leading up to it, that stage isn't gonna satisfy you. I mean, there was a stark contrast backstage between people who were there and they knew that they had worked their butts off, and those who maybe hadn't, and they just felt like everything there disappointed them because they just let everything ride on how their stage experience went. And the rest of us were there like, you earn this, you earn this. Hey, let me help you with your suit. Hey, let me help you with your hair. Like, you look awesome, because we all were so confident in the effort that we had put in. The placing was just a bonus at that point. And we knew that whoever got it deserved it, because you have to work so hard to get to that point. Some back training, we're gonna go through some posing, and we're gonna show you a little bit what our lives have been like going through prep as healthcare workers, as competitors, and as friends, despite being very different.
Yeah, I mean, this is like our everyday routine. So when we come to the gym, it's not just for 1 hour. We're here for at least 2-3 hours getting all of it done. So we're excited to get it done today.
Go dummy, go beast on them. I go beast. Go deep, I OD on them. I OD. Apply pressure, put heat on them. Put that 500 degrees on them. 500 degrees. Go dummy, go beast on them. I go beast.
My name is Olivia Gravengaard. I've been a nurse for 3 years. I've worked in 3 different departments. Started in neurology, then I went to a general progressive care unit, and then my last job was in a cardiac progressive care unit. And I really like the progressive care side of things. Probably don't see quite as much death and trauma as she does at this point, but we've both seen a lot, and I think we have like a lot of mutual respect for each other, knowing kind of what we deal with on a daily basis, and that we're still able to like manage our fitness goals on top of crazy schedules, very like physically taxing jobs.
Yeah, and for me, I worked night shift for about a year, but I work days, and Olivia works night shift. So that was kind of like the biggest reason why I think we were so drawn to each other, because I could relate to her with her night shift schedule. I understand like the struggle and the constant sacrifice that she had to make. And I had a lot of respect for that, because I could only tolerate night shift for about 1 year before I went straight to day shift. So when you work 3 days a week, or sometimes even more, and you're doing 12-hour shifts, it's really difficult to try to get your workouts in, eating all your food, try to make sure you're prioritizing your meals, drinking your water, but also giving the patient the care that they actually need. So you're prioritizing so much at once, but that is why we gravitate to the sport, because we love to prioritize, we love to be functional, we love to have challenges, and it's one of those things that we see a lot of challenges in.
I grind 4 ways, I play no games, all me, no blame. On the wave, my own wave, can't stop my shine. In the lane, my own lane, can't stop my grind. 40 yard in the V12 and like 1.5. At 19, I cleared 19 in a month, no lie. Oh God. I was starving skinny, now my weight up, got no energy for haters. See you trying, see you later. I'm shooting for the stars, need no laser beam, blowing like the greatest, but it's one who's always greater.
I love big delts and the rear delt, and then the taper coming in with the lats, like I love it.
Like the first thing I noticed about Christina before I even knew her was her back, which you just don't see in a lot of bikini athletes. And like having gone to a competition with her, like I know she trains really hard, which I think is a stereotype against a lot of bikini athletes. She trains really hard, and she really values like her muscle definition and development. And she even said on stage like she didn't want to compromise the muscle size, because like that's important to her for her physique, and that's the goal she has in presenting that look. She likes a muscular physique, and like I think that it's really important that we like acknowledge every athlete in different categories as athletes. Even if we train a little differently or have different styles, like we're all working towards our goals, and that's where the respect should come in. Physically, like you're on your feet for 12 to 14 hours, and I don't know how it works for you, but we don't really get breaks. So like if I would literally put my food in baggies and put them in all these wonderful pockets here, and like I would be in the bathroom like eating, because you just don't have time. And so you're on all the time, and you're having to prioritize multiple patients, and everyone needs something at the same time, but you have to know what is most pertinent, and you have to watch for warning signs. So you're just on all day, all night, whatever it is, because you are responsible for these people's well-being, and like their lives are technically in your hands, and that's just a lot of responsibility.
It's extremely stressful too, because you can get so overwhelmed emotionally, not just because you're dealing with sadness, grief, and I mean seeing families cry, and it's sometimes the worst day of someone's life. So you're part of that moment with them. So not only emotionally on that side, but also because you're having to carry a beeper, carry a phone, carry your own personal phone. You're having all these different ways that people are contacting you to get things done, and at the same time, in your mind and your schedule, you have to eat, you have to work out, you have to get all these things done, you have to make sure you're on top of your fitness goals, and that is a priority in the workplace.
I actually posted a full video on that, on managing shift work with like your workout schedule and your diet, and I actually showed like how I broke down my schedule and how I arranged my training around that. So that would be something to look into, because you really do have to start thinking about your days differently. And my recommendation to anyone who's dealing with shift work or long shifts is like, you create structure within the context of a chaotic schedule. So like you're creating some kind of calm in the storm, if that makes sense. Like as much consistency as possible, regardless of how consistent your schedule is. And then you just try to stick to that every day. Even if your days off work are structured a little bit differently than the days you work, at least they're structured the same as each other. So you have a plan. You have an eating schedule. I literally have a calendar with a checklist every day with every meal, and then the times that I have those meals, so that it's just one more thing you mark off the list.
Yes.
Like, there's no like second guessing it.
You have to organize with this sport. You have to prioritize it, and you have to want to do it. So everything you do should be based off of finding that happiness and why you're doing it, and prioritizing your happiness. And sometimes too, just knowing like when to sleep, when to rest. The older we get, the more we kind of grow to learn ourselves. And there's simple times where if I have a migraine, I drank water all day. There's no reason I should have a migraine. Well, maybe it's because I got 3 hours of sleep the night before. Is this a really good time for me to go to the gym right now? Like last night was a really good example of that, and I stayed home and I rested, and that's what my body needed. So sometimes you have to really prioritize your body and the health overall, even if that means taking a day off from the gym, but scheduling out your days and everything that is not controllable in this world. The one thing you can't control is your discipline, and you can control your schedule.
Despite the differences, there's so much commonality to be found in like the application of discipline and the pursuit of your goals. And like we have like so much mutual respect for each other, not just because we're both in healthcare and we know how challenging that can be, and it's like our own little club. It's like, yeah, we are in different like physique categories, but I don't have like a stereotype that she doesn't work as hard because like her class isn't required to get as big. It's like I've seen her put in the work, and we just like have this mutual respect for each other. And I think it's so important that we bring that back to the sport, because it's really about supporting each other in the individual pursuit of your goals. It's not a team sport, but having a team mentality, it really does change things.
It really does. I mean, I'm a part of a team. The encouragement that I get from my teammates and my girls, it goes a long way. And I have my team here at the gym. So it's like I feel like everyone here is just supportive, and it makes me want to come here. If you don't have friends here at the gym, you're going to feel like you're dragging to get here. You're going to feel like you're just here by yourself, and you're not getting any kind of recognition, even though you shouldn't be doing it for that reason. But the accountability and the friendships go a long way. That's a really hard question. How do you become a pro? I think it's number one is discipline. You can't fake discipline. You just can't. Your physique is going to show it. So discipline's definitely number one. Posing is probably number two. I think that's really important. You have to know how to pose the physique that you just worked so hard for. And three, I think I can't think of the third one. That won't be.
I mean, of course well, I think that the discipline kind of covers, like, is the umbrella for all the other factors. Yeah. Because it applies to your diet, it applies to your cardio, it applies to your practicing posing, and I mean, that's the primary driver. If you can't have discipline in any one of those areas, that's going to throw you off. Everything has to work together. And you have to be willing to also accept feedback throughout the process.
Oh, that's a good one.
And accept that you may become a pro. That does not mean that you don't have room to improve. So I think it's also like an internalization of realizing that you still have things upon which you need to continue working.
I think if you didn't enjoy it so much and you wanted to be a pro, then I feel like the lack of enjoyment will make it just extremely excruciating, and it might take a little bit longer to become a pro. I don't think that it's not going to make you a pro. I just think that your reason behind it is not going to get you those results faster. I mean, Olivia and I got our pro card. She got hers in 2 shows. I got mine in 3. So I think because we enjoy this lifestyle so much and we're always here, like this is our second home. I can't see myself in a different place to socialize and to be with my friends. That me being here every day is probably how I got my pro card. It wasn't because I was dragging feet to get here. It wasn't because I hated every single meal. I enjoy the process. I like seeing the shreds. I like seeing my gains. I like seeing where I've become better overall and improved my life. So I think if you don't have that drive and that happiness with it, it will take a lot longer to get that.
And I think that it decreases your longevity in the sport in one way or another. Like, I think those people who, like I said, they invest so much upon the feeling that they'll have on stage, those are the people who crash after the show. Because as soon as that stage is gone, which is really fast, what is there? If you didn't love the training, if you didn't love the diet, what happens after the show? Like, there's no forethought applied to that after process, which tends to be one of the hardest parts of the process. If you don't love it from the get-go, when you're actually seeing your body change and lose weight every day, you're certainly not going to love it when you start feeling tired after the show, start putting on weight again. Like, that's when people start declining physically, mentally, because they do not invest in like the proper parts of the process. They save all their motivation for that stage.
Yeah. And I think that's why Olivia and I are such good friends, because we have that same mindset. And we both encourage each other, and we both see the sport as, yeah, it's a sport, but we're there to have fun, and we're there to celebrate, no matter what our placing is, our accomplishments. Because afterwards there will be a feast, and we will always celebrate because we led up months and months and weeks to get to that point. So we should always celebrate, no matter what your placing is.